Good morning, everyone. Have a great day. Listening to all the panelists and experts, sometimes it gives you goosebumps when you are in the same room as such illustrious people from the retail industry. Um, you just got an introduction about myself, Ramanan, part of the Adrenalin and Intellect Commerce Board. I'm the CEO for Intellect Design now. When the topic was shared with us, I thought it was a very controversial topic, right? Uh, Artificial intelligence, can it replace human intelligence? Okay. And I just realized that in the last few months, if not years, thanks to ChatGPT, everybody is talking about AI or generative AI. Okay. Uh, Typically, when you look at AI, you can actually classify under four categories. That's my understanding. I'm willing to learn from others, but typically the top four categories are customer experience, employee productivity, operational efficiency, and creativity. Okay, that's the spectrum in which any of the initiatives that you can talk about can be classified. But I would want to hear from the August panelists here, their views on how AI is being, or their initial remarks, if you can keep it in about 90 to 120 seconds on the topic, and then we'll take it forward from there. Why don't you start?
Morning, everyone. So I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think over the last decade, I think most of the HR conferences or everywhere we go, AI, ML, these are one of the hot topics that we talk about. So to put my perspective on this topic, I think first I would like to give you an anecdote. So a couple of years back in Berlin, there was an artist named Simon Weckett. What he did was a very interesting social experiment, right? What he did was he took 99 cell phones, put on their location, and put them into a cart, and he started roaming on the streets of Berlin. What happened was he tricked one of the most robust AI and ML systems that we are surrounded with today. All of us use Gmaps day in day out, right? And we blindly trusted. So what he did was he took this cart, and as he was roaming, within few seconds, Gmaps algorithm read it that there is a lot of traffic because there are 99 cell phones moving in that direction and all are very slow. Gmap rerouted people going towards that direction and gave a longer route. So what this tells us that it's very difficult to replace human intelligence with AI. Okay, so AI, no doubt, it's pretty remarkable. It's no doubt very efficient, but the reality is it's the human intellect that's feeding AI, and it's not vice versa, right? We are conscious, we are cognitive, which AI at this point of time is no. So will it ever happen? It's very difficult to say today, but certainly not in the near future. So, as HR folks and everyone else, I think we did not write obituaries about, okay, these jobs are going to go or anything as such. Yeah, the reality is we cannot be complacent. We cannot be, we need to adapt ourselves to the changing realities, but it's very difficult to say that, whether AI will replace the natural intelligence or, so for me, I think, for me, AI at this point of time is more like a vending machine. Okay, I am happy to use it on an airport kind of a scenario, but it cannot replace the fine dine experience that I expect at any restaurant. Yeah, for that I need a cognitive, conscious human being to give me that kind of experience. So yes, certainly not in the near future, but going ahead, we really don't know. We've seen what ChatGPT has done, but again, it brings its own concerns with data integrity, ethical concerns, and so on and so forth. So we need not write obituaries, okay, but we need not get complacent as well to what's happening in the space of AI. But yeah, we make it our ally, and see how it helps us to kind of become more efficient, but need not worry too much as such, replacement perspective. Yeah.
Thanks, Yogesh. Nandini, your thoughts?
I think a very good anecdote given by Yogesh. And Ashwin in the CEO panel mentioned that end of the day, AI is created by humans, right? So I don't think, I agree with Yogesh that AI may not completely replace human intelligence. However, I think the dependence on AI is going to become very high. I think we're already, dependent a lot on AI in many things, and it can make our life miserable at times. So you look at something on Facebook, and then you'll say in the next 1 month, you'll keep getting the same, repetition of the same thing coming to you in different forms. So I think we as humans will become very dependent, like I said, but it definitely cannot, AI definitely cannot replace HI. So that is my perspective.
Thanks, Nandini. I think that's a little scary, right? You have a conversation at home and then suddenly you open social media, it starts coming up there. Why don't you share your thoughts, Nirav?
So I'm going to break this down to two parts. One is deep tech on AI, which obviously is not my domain or anybody in this room. So I'm going to leave that out. However, the jury is out on that one. The fact that we need to tread the AI path very carefully, because at the end of it, if the intelligence gets better than the creator, then the intelligence has the ability to control us, right? So that's a bit of a fear that the creators of AI themselves are stating out there. Having said that, for this audience today, I think AI is change. It's a new way of looking at the same thing. It's pushing the boundaries on a lot of things that we always considered as hygiene. And as professionals of the people capability, it's imperative for us to look at this as a more of a change initiative. How do we really build that capability within the organization such that this new wave of change, we understand what exactly it is all about, and build capabilities to make the most of it. If we create a resistance in our workforce and in ourselves, we are likely to actually also miss out the opportunity of capitalizing on AI. Yeah.
Thanks, Nirav. I think so far I've heard them saying that let's be cautious, but at the same time, let's accept that this is coming, change is happening, and how do we prepare ourselves for the change? Pooja, your thoughts?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. If we've reached good afternoon, maybe another 10 minutes. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, MMR and co-panelist, for joining in for this session. I would like to start by saying enjoy the journey. When we did not have vehicles, when we did not have cooking tools or any kind of tools which are machine based, we had a way of life, way of working, and it kept evolving over years. We've been, as humans, creators of it. We've enjoyed the journey so far on coexisting with machine. They've challenged and changed us, our ways of living and working for good, for good and not for good. We've learned what we shouldn't do and what we should be doing. Humans are made for certain cognitive, physical capabilities. We should continue that. Machines are enabling accelerators for us to make advancement. On a lighter note, I have two kids at an age gap of 7 years. My younger one is way smarter than my elder one, even if he knows more. So I keep telling him she's an advanced version which come after 7 years. So you better be careful. So I think the exposure each time as humans, we also get every year, every month with new tools, technology, machinery, knowledge. Like she was explaining me yesterday what Chandrayaan did, etc. Much more informed. And I said, did you read after school? So she was like, no, it's all over the status updates. It's all on WhatsApp. It's all on news. Everybody in the group's been talking. She's only 10. So I think the exposure, the capability to learn and develop ourselves is so high that machine is challenging us, we are challenging them back. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the fun, and we are here to coexist and challenge our intelligence. So that's my way of looking.
Thanks, Pooja. It's another tool. Let's learn to master it, is what Pooja is saying. Seema, your thoughts?
Great. I think I'm really going to concur with what my panelists have been saying. Definitely, there's no running away from it. Tech is the way forward. We are living in a world where tech is going to coexist. It's going to supersede what we do as manual interventions. So I think the idea is really, like Pooja said, enjoy the journey, because this is what is going to help us build efficiencies, right? And who doesn't like efficiencies? We've been harping on productivity for the last decade, and I think this is only going to better the entire piece on productivity and efficiency as we move ahead. So there's no running away from it. I think we've all seen that in parts it has helped us, whether it's in recruitment, whether it's in managing careers, whether it's in post exits as well. I think we've seen different parts where where technology has really helped us. And my colleague Sumit was here. He was talking about how learning has also evolved in a big way in organizations. So I think we've seen that. We've seen a lot of cases and points where this has helped us bring about greater efficiencies. So I think it's just going to be running in that same direction. I think the things that we'll have to be cautious of is that we don't want technology to enhance the bias that exists with with some of the things that we operate in a day-to-day environment. Technology should not accentuate that bias, which is something that we'll have to be cautious of. And the fact that bad data will lead to bad outcomes. So we'll have to be very conscious of what we feed into the technology to give us the right outputs. I think those are 2 or 3 things that we'll have to be very cautious as we move ahead. But I think largely this is something where we have to leverage technology to really bring about better working, better efficient working structures in the future.
Thanks, Pooja. I mean, I picked up a few words: productivity, efficiency. But most importantly, I think you brought out the topic of bias. We'll cover that in a later section. So over to you, Rohit, to share your initial thoughts.
Morning, everyone, and thank you so much for getting me into the panel here. It's always a disadvantage to be the last speaker because most of the points are taken. But on a serious note, I think there is no better day for us to discuss on this topic. That it is just after the day that we were successful in launching being on the moon. And if I look at that example, if you look at one of the success factors for the mission was around the Pragyan. Now, if you classically looking at Pragyan, what you will find is it was controlled by AI while it was operated by humans. So there is no better example when I was reflecting of how to set the context. So how I see is artificial intelligence by its name itself is artificial, right? And it does not substitute to human intelligence. So now the question is more about saying that how do we integrate artificial intelligence to the human intelligence so that we are able to take much more informed decisions so that our results are better. And on the other side, it's about, like Pooja and Seema mentioned, it's about coexistence. How do we coexist with each other? Because artificial intelligence definitely has to bank upon the cognitive side. On the other side, human intelligence could have continued without AI a few years back, but now it's no more a choice. I think it's a mandate, and I think it's a way forward. So it is only going to add strength on both sides, but it's more about the integration and coexistence as far as I'm concerned.
So yeah, it's really a proud moment for all of us, right? Chandrayaan in the moon. So this round, Rohit, I'm going to take that bias of being the last speaker out. So I'm going to come to you first. So why don't you share with the larger audience some AI or other technology implementations that you've done in Westlife Foods? McDonald's is the brand, so that we can hear from Rohith his experience.
Sure. So McDonald's worldwide and in India, if you look at, we have always been a pioneer in how we have integrated AI or technology in our day-to-day operations, whether it is HR or otherwise. Since the question is more non-HR related, just a couple of examples that I would want to quote. One of them is how we have built our AI-driven drive-thrus. So if you walk in to a lot of our stores, not 100%, but a lot of our stores, if you're a customer in the car, you drive in, there is a speech recognition system which takes your order. You drive a little ahead, you do the payment, which is again contactless. You drive a little ahead, and you get the order, and this is all between roughly about 120 to 180 seconds from the time you've made the payment. And if you had the cravings for that juicy, crunchy McChicken burger or Aloo Tikki, there you are in 3 minutes, roughly you are able to bite your craving. That's one side of it for customers who don't have time to come inside the store. But if you look at for our dining customers, when you walk inside our store, what you will find immediately is a self-ordering kiosk. In fact, we call our stores experience of the future stores, which is EOTF. So the moment you enter, there is definitely someone to welcome you because that's a part of our culture. But when you look at the self-ordering kiosk, you're able to order yourself. You can add on what you want. You can change your order. You can have as much time, relaxed time of what you want to choose. Because if you're in a line, you have the pressure of someone behind you and ahead of you. You do the payment online, and then there you are. You are sitting in one of the tables, and the integrated chip allows us to deliver it on your seat. So these are two examples. I can go on for an hour with this, but I'm sure there are enough of examples around. So, but going back to the point, we've always pioneered how technology leverages in our day-to-day operations and drive through AI. And I think self-ordering kiosks are two great examples how we have evolved over time.
Thanks, Rohit. I mean, that's really useful for all of us to understand the use cases of AI, right? We are all consumers of McD. We go order a Big Mac and come out of it. But the technology behind and the way that they've been able to achieve the kind of 120 seconds to 180 seconds delivery, I think that's phenomenal. Let's move on. Seema, to you. I mean, I remember seeing those Lenskart ad, right? I mean, with augmented reality. Tell us the reality behind the ad and how has it impacted the business and what are your learnings?
So I think it's not just impacted the business. I think it's impacted the category itself, right? Would you have imagined buying eyewear online 5 years back? You wouldn't have, right? So I think the idea was that sitting at home, you've gotten an experience. If you know your part, that is. At home, you have an experience where you can try on something on the on the app by just clicking your own picture, right? So I think we pioneered this, at least about 5 to 6 years back. And there's just been no looking back. If you've been a regular Lenskart user, you've actually seen that, we've actually started making a lot of modifications, and augmented reality has really helped us do that. You can actually now, I mean, we're doing analysis to the extent of what is the kind of, metal or the kind of frame that you will pick up. What are the different sizes that are available depending on your face shape? What is the material that will get used, whether you'll have a matte finish or not. I think those are the specifics that we're now going down to, because we've really had a great journey with the kind of experience that customers have had. Of course, nothing replaces the touch part of feeling the product in the brick and mortar stores, but I think the entire experience of just sitting at home and trying it on, I think that has really been something that has taken our online sales, online sales in a big way. In fact, many customers actually try things at home and then come and tell us that, okay, this is my picture, I want exactly this product at stores. So I think that whole omni-channel piece is also coming in very strongly with what augmented reality has been able to create for us. Almost about 40% of the customers who log into our app very, very aggressively use the AR piece of it. And they try on different specs. They are recommended different specs that will look good on them through the app itself. They're also recommended different colors, etc. So I think those are the things that the business has really been able to leverage really well with the AR feature. And like I mentioned, it's really helped the category in itself grow in a very big way.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes when you look at some ads, you just feel that it is for a particular purpose. But now that we understand it better, choice of metals, choice of shape with your face, I think a lot of things or science goes behind it. Okay, correct. Thanks for sharing it. Yeah. Let me switch tracks. I don't want to go in one standard order. So let me come to you, Nandini. You're a seasoned HR professional, not limiting to what you do in Metro. Just why don't you share your thoughts on the dependency on AI, and as HR professionals, are we losing touch, the human touch that is there?
So I think the name itself says human resources, right? So we're here to address people issues, deal with everything to do with the people resource in an organization. And the moment we automate too much, use AI a lot, we are losing the human touch. So I'll give you an example. I was just talking to my niece a few days back, and she tells me that she's very frustrated because she needs some clarity on, some, an HR policy. And while the system has the policy in it, which she's supposed to read, she wanted further clarity, and there was no one available in the HR department to speak to her. So, a very similar experience by another friend of mine. Same, exactly the same. She wanted to understand something. Her manager said, just look at the policy, it's there up in the system, and understand it. And when she had doubts, there was no one to clarify. So, are we really losing the human touch? Are we really disconnecting ourselves as HR professionals by automating things too much? So, I think we need to be very careful about what we need to automate and what we need to still continue in terms of addressing employee issues and challenges. So, I think it becomes very important for HR to have a roadmap on, or a blueprint as we call it, on what exactly should we automate. So for example, there could be certain standard questions that employees have where we could use a chatbot, right? However, there could be customized things. A person may want to know why his salary or her salary is lesser this month as compared to last month. And definitely AI is not going to be able to answer that. Or an automated tool is not going to be able to answer that. They will need to talk to somebody from the HR department. So I think it becomes very, very important for all of us here to be very clear about what exactly we want as a roadmap in terms of automation, and where do we want to still continue to have the human touch and be able to convince and justify our, the business head that this is what we need to do. So have a very clear vision, have a clear roadmap on what exactly can be automated. So just to give some examples of what we have automated, we have a program called Potential Manager Program. We don't hire managers from outside at Metro. And the biggest challenge we had was it was taking almost about eight days of a store manager's life, where he would have to come to the head office and complete that entire program. So we automated it in a way where they just don't need to come to the head office. Now that was very critical because we were losing our productive days, right, on the floor. So I think it becomes very important for us to choose this. Is this really required or not? Right? At the same time, we have not automated any employee grievance related activities, because we still feel that they have to reach out to us and clarify their doubts. So just giving you a perspective on that. So that's what I would say from a human resource perspective.
Thanks, Nandini. I mean, that's a real practitioner example, right? I mean, you have automation done. I mean, we also have Ask Sarah in Adrenalin Max. But if my team is there, I think the point is to be noted is like in an IVR. So if you answer, IVR answers your questions, it still asks you a question. You still want to connect to a human at the end of the call. Maybe we have to introduce those kind of elements as part of the bots. I think that's a very relevant and pertinent point to be made. Nirav, getting back to business conversation kind of stuff, do you want to share some initiatives that you've done at Sugar Cosmetics? How did you go about it, your plan, your execution and learnings in terms of AI that you've implemented?
Yeah, no, thanks for this. But, let me just continue the conversation from the keynote address we had in the morning. Today, we are focusing on what we all refer as CX, which is consumer experience. Where do you really give that experience is now completely in the hands of the consumer. The consumer decides where the purchase point will be. It's not you decide that you come to my store and that's where you buy, or you go to my store online and you buy there, or you go to a marketplace. That doesn't happen anymore. The consumer seamlessly flows between all these avenues. And let me take a little drill down version of this and tell you the complexity of it. We have two versions of online availability. One is my partner portal, which is the marketplaces where we are listed. And the other is my own website and app where a consumer can come and make the purchase. Now, these are two options. Then a person has the option to go to my stores. I have 200 EBOs and I have another 40,000 touch points by way of MT and GT. Imagine my consumer could be going to any of these. And the consumer's visit or purchase should not decide my choice of how do I want to engage with the consumer. The fact that the consumer visited itself should be an opportunity for me to know what the preferences were or the person walked away from. Now, this is all about you collecting data and feeding into your AI engine such that you train your AI to create what we call as a forecasting the decision making and the preferences of consumer. When is the consumer buying? Where is this person buying? What sort of SKUs the person is buying? What is the average spend? What's the AOV over a period of time? Through the LTV, what is this person spending? What are the other preferences this person touching upon but not buying? Now, these are all the elements that my AI engine should be analyzing and giving me a predictive analysis for the future. That's what we're looking at, right? So, if you look at AI is a fantastic tool. Now imagine, now let me take this whole thing to a more business impact level. Now this is where the consumer is buying. Imagine what I can do with this data with my supply chain. I can actually fill my stores with this precise SKUs to reduce my inventory burnouts. My out of stocks are low. My purchases are absolutely precise to the inventory available. My dark stores are working optimally. My warehouses are stocked optimally. It really goes down right up to the production level where I'm able to actually plan the supply, actually the manufacturing line in line with what I anticipate as a consumption 6 months down the line. Now that's the level of detailing we can get to if we are able to optimize this. As I said again, it's a trainable engine. So we need to really train it with the right intelligence. And like any software, this too will be garbage in, garbage out if we don't train it with a good data in. So a lot of that responsibility still sits with us. We need to do the right things to ensure. This is the consumer side. The same is with employee experience. We are actually building, and we've just started that journey. We are building our engine to capture our employee experiences. What do they like? What do they don't like? What are their feedback on their managers? What are the policies they are enjoying, they are not enjoying? And wherever we are able to feed in the market data into that engine and see how we stack against vis-a-vis what our employee experiences versus what the market experiences are. So CX, employee experience, both I think can be deeply leveraged through AI.
Thanks, Nirav. I mean, continuing on the data analytics part of it, Pooja, why don't you share what Bata is all doing in terms of data analytics, predictive analytics, so that we can understand that better?
For years, for centuries, we've been a footwear making and footwear selling organization, and we intend to continue on that journey, right? So, just historically would love to share with the audience and my co-panelist here that 150 years ago when Thomas Bata started Bata as an organization or as a unit, where the entire shoemaking was manual by cobblers. There was absolutely no technology then. He started an engineering department which could make machines to manufacture footwear. That was the vision he had 150 years ago. He went into the deepest jungles of the world, which were not humanized by then, including in India, Bata Nagar, which had connectivity of waterways, because transport those days internationally was only through seas and rivers. So then what we need really is a vision of how we can build in, bridge in technology in any industry that can help us, enable us build a better world through any product, service, etc. 150 years down the line, we continue to design, develop, and deliver footwear for all types of needs of customers across the world. India being one of the most diverse needs, multi-generational, as well as our own captive consumption as a country with highest number of population is so very, very high that as an organization in India, we need to really be leading in many areas, from the changing design asks by the customers, employees, as well as how do we deliver that on time. My colleague here spoke about omni-channel. we've been looking at various technological interventions, AI or otherwise, how we can deliver this better, whether it's the design, introducing some of the 3D design principles on it, in terms of development in our own in-house manufacturing units, and third is in terms of delivery, whole logistics, supply chain, as well as how do we really reach the consumer at all the distribution fronts that we are in, whether in stores, whether in distributors, storage places, or really at an omni-channel, which is FA to A, which is from anywhere to anywhere. We also run omni from our stores. So how do we really stitch the same process through technology? And I agree with Nirav that many of these interventions and the analytics that we derive enable us to build better strategies to deliver customer experience and employee experience better. So couldn't agree more that how we enabling this, continuing the same exact vision, but speeding up the whole efforts through AI and various other digital, may not be AI every time, but through various other digital aspiration. One example I would like to quote here is we would be aware merchandising is the brain of any retail organization, especially when you deal with thousands of multi-category of products like in Bata. So it becomes very, very critical that in our 2000 plus point of sale or stores, how do we reach the right product at the right time depending on the target audience that we have? Now merchandising here erstwhile and would continue to play a very, very critical role. So if that's the place where AI can intervene and build that kind of intelligence, is where we are building great, and we have continued and have leveraged that space a lot and will continue. In HR, I think we're very keen to partner with Adrenalin and many such smart players which can continue to give us right from pre-joining to post-retirement kind of a employee experience. My only challenge with some of the HR applications is they are augmented, right? So personally, as a consumer, from an HR standpoint, I find I have to deal with multi technology partners to find my sweet spot, and I hope through simpler and less expensive integration, we'll be able to get that. So if I can play both the roles here.
Thanks, Pooja, for endorsing the brand. It was not planted, by the way. So when Pooja started the session, she said, enjoy the ride, adapt to change. Now I'm able to understand where it is coming from. 150 years of an organization is phenomenal. So kudos to people who have worked in Bata over the years. Any organization that has survived 150 years is worth saluting, right? Quickly moving on to you, Yogesh. Why don't you share your journey in Mr. DIY and what AI you have implemented and your learnings from that?
So I think at an org level, we are at a pretty exploratory stage. Okay, so there are a couple of things that I can talk about at this point of time. So one is recently when when we took an HRMS, so it had this interesting thing bundled into it, which essentially is AI and ML, is a mood bot. Okay, so every time you log in, it will ask you how are you feeling today, and it gives you an option of choosing more detailed options in terms of okay, if you're saying okay, you're feeling great, why are you feeling great, and there are 10 other things that you can select from that, why are you feeling great, and there is an option of anonymously speaking on it as well. So what it gives out is a happiness index. Okay, and so it was very intriguing. What I was expecting vis-a-vis what it gave was pretty phenomenal, because I thought, okay, it's an ML thing. It will take a lot of time to settle down. However, I was able to quickly, on the CXO dashboard, very quickly able to see the kind of analytics it's throwing out in terms of how are the people feeling in the organization, and with very, very detailed this, okay, consistently these many people are coming, giving their feedback, this is their mood every day. So I think, and of course, like any other AI or ML piece, it's just going to improve with time. So that's the very, very early tirish that we are having with AI. However, so far it's working pretty well as intended. And second thing is actually very interesting. It was more of a business case that, as HRs, we'll piggyback on it. So we were piloting some AI cameras at the cash tills to observe the customer behavior. And but interestingly, what it also had was, you can fill in your SOPs and define SLAs within it. So what we realized is, it was also giving us insight in terms of if someone is playing around with the SOPs, if there are integrity issues. So to quote an example, when we piloted at a store, we saw that the cash till is open for a certain duration, however no receipt has been print. And when we saw this couple of times, and in fact, so the frequency increased, and so we found out it was an integrity issue. Okay, the person was taking cash and not printing the receipt. Okay, so essentially it was a business product, but what you do a lot of time as HR is we need to piggyback on other products, and laterally think how this product can be useful for me as well, because it's not that every time you're going to get a product. Yeah, so I think these are two things that we are doing at DIY at this point of time.
Thanks, Yogesh. I'm cognizant of time, so if you have questions, please make a note of them. I'll do a quick rapid fire and then come down for Q&A. At this stage, I'm representing two technology companies, Intellect Commerce, which is on the in-store technology, and Adrenalin, which is a HRMS. So this question to this half of the panel. In today's complex world, there are a lot of technologies, a lot of hype around various technologies. Some of it is noise. How do you go about choosing what initiatives to take and which technologies to adopt? If you can do it in 60 seconds each, maybe you can start Nandini, Yogesh, and then Nirav.
So I already, I think, answered that question, saying that we have to be very clear about what is the output we want, and based on that, choose the technology. So a lot of us talk about LMS. For us, LMS was something very different. We wanted a career progression, and we were able to identify a partner who could actually customize the career progression for us, right? So I think it's very important to know what you want, put a roadmap, understand the end result, and then decide on the product. Yeah. So
Thank you.
Just
Thank you. Roadmap, business outcomes, roadmap, and then choose the product. Thanks, Yogesh.
Yeah, so I think picking up from what Nandini said, so first thing that we need to do is identify what the problem you're trying to solve. And so in the absence of problem statement, we will end up nowhere. Second thing, be very, very careful, and we should not get excited by the latest toy in the market. Okay, so a lot of time what happens is we see very interesting videos, some awesome sales pitch, and we decide, oh, this is the product for me. But the reality is no, you should contextually see the success stories of that product, and then kind of invest in that. And third most important, which Sunil in the keynote session touched upon in morning, that we don't operate in vacuum, right? So it's very important that you tie your department digital transformation with the digital transformation roadmap of the organization. Otherwise, you will operate in vacuum. The org strategy is somewhere else, and you are taking products which are completely different. So yeah, these are three things that we should be cognizant about.
Thanks, Nirav.
I would evaluate ESR, empathy, speed, and rigor. Empathy is ability to understand my context, my challenges. Speed is, speed. Rigor is, how detailed, how minutely you will really try to solve every problem that we have. Yeah.
Thanks. That's really useful. There are a lot of HR professionals in this room, so wanted to hear from each one of you, maybe Seema, Pooja, and Rohith in that order. What are the various use cases that you're using in terms of talent management, L&D, or talent acquisition, as the case may be? I heard talent management, but
Okay, I think, through the talent management journey, I think starting from onboarding and engagement, I think we're using a similar tool like, the one that Yogesh spoke about. We have an Amber chatbot. So at any time, starting from the time that the person gets onboarded, this chatbot exists to basically do regular check-ins, to exist as a chatbot to, answer any kind of queries and feed in to the HR teams to then, develop connects, etc. And this actually helps us on an ongoing basis to conduct our pulse surveys, to go back and ensure that, if there are any hotspots for any of our key talent or, that we need to address. I think from a learning standpoint as well, we do a lot of training needs analysis, and then our learning plans get formed on the basis of different cohorts, on what people choose as their learning need. So I think that's the other one. And we also had Nirav speaking about predictive analytics, on the business side, but we do a lot of predictive analytics on the employee experience side as well, when we look at retention and engagement and attrition data. So we have very clear dashboards that really call out someone who will be a potential risk, in terms of attriting. I think those are 3 or 4 things that we are constantly monitoring.
Thanks, Seema. Pooja, quick word, and then Rahul. Rohit.
So yeah, couldn't agree more with my co-panelist on the technological interventions within HR. So in terms of, I would probably touch the TA piece in terms of how do we really do hiring. Retail is a very busy space in terms of hiring, whether it's on roles or off role. To ensure that we have consistent quality of resources that are adequately placed at the right store. So we have AI-based resourcing platforms that help us adequately plan and hire with psychometric assessments in place, and also look at their onboarding experience fully integrated from a AI plus digital solution. So that's a space that we, in addition to a few others that we have in place. Yeah.
Thanks. Rohit.
Sure. So I'll just answer in 3 different situations, probably not just talking about AI. Let's say situation 1 is where we are completely dependent on AI, let's say for an employee engagement survey, where the manual interventions of course, we have moved away from the pen and paper, but that's few years back. But now how do we get a live feed, and then how do we go about immediate dashboards, action plans, etc., rather than waiting for some time for someone else to consolidate? I think that's one space where we completely use. Second case will be more like a hybrid model, where it is like, for example, hiring or learning and development, where let's say if we pick learning and development, there are the classroom coaching sessions, and that's why McDonald's is what we are. Whereas in terms of reinforcement assessments, we go back to the technology. But then there is a third situation where, if you have some irritated customers, or let's say a set of goons coming into the store, we are all retailers. I can't depend on ChatGPT to give me an answer. So it's more about cognitive intelligence to deal with the situations. So so it's very situation based, and it's how best we pick what, or a hybrid, that we are able to resolve it in the most appropriate way.
Thank you. Thank you. So, any questions to the panelists? We'll take 3 or 4 questions. If you want to ask it directed at any particular person, you can call out their name. Or if it's a general question, anybody in the panel can take. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have more of a comment rather than a question. See, asking the question, is artificial intelligence going to replace human intelligence, is something like, are our typewriters at risk of being replaced by the computer? Or are the gas lights on the street, are those professions that are at great risk because electric lighting is coming in? It's something like that. I just wanted to put that in perspective.
I hope it's not as drastic as what you just mentioned. But let's wait and see how it evolves. Any other questions from anybody else? Or Nirav is going to ask a question to you on your class participation.
Me asking a question to myself, but the point is, see, when people don't ask question, either they have understood everything that has been discussed and have nothing to check on, or you completely dozed off through the session. I don't think either of the cases were completely true, and we absolutely have like flat 2 minutes to do this.
So I mean, it's an open question to any of you. I mean, that was another provocation. Yes, sir.
Hi, interesting to see the topic of AI. And AI has been in existence from a long time. And even in our country, I mean, the financial industry, the telecom industry, it's all got AI. I think in retail, yes, we kind of waking up and we kind of noticing that this is the thing, right? My question to all of the esteemed panelists is, while this is there and different HR teams are using different tools, how are you going about skilling your employees to adapt to this change? Because I think that's going to be the most key thing. Because there's going to be change and there is going to be an impact into the lives of all the employees. I would just like to know if any one of you could share what are you doing with respect to your employees? How are you kind of actually training them or preparing them for a change in whichever manner in terms of the introduction of a tool or a software or even maybe a process change?
Something called as learnability, and that I think is like us breathing air now, right? For organizations now to say that, oh, let me build learning capability in people, maybe we are a little late on that, because let's just look at it. Uh, the environment around is evolving so quickly, and it's not just technology, there are a lot of other things, right? Because the socio-economic, technology, regulatory landscape, legality, business context, your competition is evolving much faster. So there are constant shifts, and I'm not saying incremental changes, I'm saying shifts, which are going to make it imperative for organizations to keep pace. When you want to do that, it has to become a way of life. And organizations that are able to make this as a mainstream expectation from employees by way of performance expectations, capability development, and reinforcement by way of compensation structures will make this shift effective for people. All of this then is supported by an enabling structure which comes in as a learning and development capability. Without this, organizations do run the risk of being dated, and high quality talent will typically step out of these organizations because they don't see the learning coming through. Yeah. So I just see this as natural as you just conducting your business.
So I thought there is one last question there, and then we'll
Yeah.
look at last two quick answers. Yeah.
All right. My question is related to her question. In fact, I'll go one step below, and maybe the question for all of you is to what do you do to identify the future skills? Because we all know in this era of generative AI or fast-paced digital transformation, many of our job will be abolished in maybe 7 to 8 years time.
So I think the question is, what do you do for skill identification? Nandini, you want to take that?
So I think, there's a lot of noise about AI automation and, people will lose jobs, they have to reskill themselves. And, HR has the pressure of, looking at 7 years down the line, there's some skill required. So what do we do about it? But I think it's more important right now to look at how do we, upskill our employees. And it varies, right? Every organization has different tools. So I can't train all my employees on all the tools available in the market. So I think in our strategy, in our plan, so just to add to what she said, and then I'll take yours. So in our strategy, in our plan of implementing a tool is where we need to have the upskilling of an employee as part of it. Because they don't need to know all the tools, right? Otherwise, it's too much. And especially in retail, we don't hire experts. You know that very well, right? Upskilling for the future, I think it's very difficult to answer as of now. But the way I look at it is, I think people are upskilling themselves. Today's youngsters are very different from us, from all of us, right? They know more about technology than all of us do. So if I might be struggling to do something, let's say to download an app, but if a youngster comes to me and says, okay, they do it in just 2 minutes, right? So I think they automatically upskill themselves is my take on this. And like we all have adapted to whatever new has come during our generation, I think the newer generation will adapt to it accordingly. So it's very difficult for us to right now say this is what we'll do for our employees for the future, right? So this is my take on it. If anyone else has something else to say, you can add
In
to
the
it.
interest of time, I'll just move on. Last question, and then we'll close.
Yeah, hi, this is Reshma from Mr. DIY. I have one question. Just now we spoke about psychometric test, and we also speak about the cultural fit. So is there any, sometimes the psychometric test is totally opposite what the person's behavior. So how do you justify it?
So before you introduce any psychometric test, we need to know what we want to assess. There are various tools and therefore can be customized various tools, psychometric assessment tools that will fit to your need, whether it's cultural, behavioral, functional, etc., etc. So how do you really find the need and then choose the tool to aid that assessment, whether it is for hiring or development or otherwise? We'll have to define those needs very well and then pick up a tool. Run it for a year or a sample size and see how it is working. Is it giving you the results that are enabling you to take better informed decision? Then pilot it and take it forward. If not, then see what you need to custom more, which are the competencies you want to build, what are the aspects of behavioral, hardwired or software you want to pick up, and then see whether the tool offers you that kind of flexibility. If not, then you'll have to find either change the tool or find alternate ways. So it's a continuous process when you're introducing something or evolving, and also culture fitment, behavioral needs also keep changing, right? And that's why you'll find the success of these tools sometimes changing. So keep a watch on how it is progressing and continuously improve.
Thanks everyone, and thanks my panelists for very interesting session. I mean, I could see the experience coming through. Thank you very much, and they're going to be around if you want to catch them during a break or lunch or tea break. Please do, and they will be able to share further. Thanks RII for organizing this event and giving us an opportunity to share our thoughts. Thank you very much.